Barriers, barriers, a lot of barriers in my life that I have faced. Growing up, I have a lot of barriers in my life, different shape, different forms. They were personally, physically, geographically. Going through those barriers, I always thinking that it was fabricating in my community. And the problem about that I grow up in this community, thinking about homeland. I didn't think about the country, the land. I think about my community because I belong to this community. Going through the barriers could be geographically. A map having line. This line could make a signify difference. You can signify a differentiation, a deviation, and the division, inequality, a lot of stuff because of that. Not also that, but also names. Names could be normal in any country, could be adjective, could be something like that, but in other places, names in some societies could lead to death, could lead to oppression, could lead to more than one different thing. Today, I'm here to talk about barriers that I faced in my life, barriers that shaped my life, and how I overcome those forms of barriers, how I work a lot to overcome this, and how we can work all together to overcome this, because we need a community that's super inclusive, having everyone. I will start with the childhood. And that's like the closest barrier to my heart, because it's the barrier came from my mother, my family, the barrier that came from the overprotection. I grew up in a family who always feeling the fear, because we are Coptic Christians who are minorities in my country, and that they make them grow up with the fear in their heart, in their mind. When I came, my family always building those walls, barriers. You should not talk to anyone, you should not interact with anyone, we are really afraid about you. And I really know where this come from. A history of sectarianism in my country make them feel so. But I was always repelling against this barrier because I want to be part of my community. After that, I think about the other barrier that came from the church. The Christians in Egypt are in ghetto. I feel like those was the highest walls, because inside the walls of the church, you are feeling secured, comfort. They have everything for you, because they are always afraid that something bad will happen for you. I grew up with this state of mind, us facing them. And that was really hard for me, because I didn't like to be in this form or sitting. I want to be with the community, with everyone. So I do my best to jump and climb those walls and to overcome this kind of barrier. Finally, about this period of childhood, not more than one here know about my passion about football. I'm super passionate about football. And the football was one of the ways that I was using to overcome the barriers of the community, to be with my friends in the school, to be with my friends in the team. And I was really passionate about this. It was one of the best ways to overcome the barriers. But in the first match, in the first official match, the players gathered and they say something together. At this moment, they asked me, can you leave us a little bit? The coach asked me for that, because they are saying something related to the Islamic religious, to support themselves. At this moment, I feel like outsider. I feel even when I try to do my best to feel part of the community, they kick me out. I really respect their face, I respect what they did, but also I think when I was like 10 years old, why? Why this happened? Why I always trying to be part of the community, but there is barriers in front of me. After that, there is the revolution, the second phase of barriers. Revolution is a big thing for me. I think like I'm a different person after the revolution. In 2011, I have a lot of dreams. We grow up as a community in barriers of fear, barriers of oppression, barriers of the leakage of democracy and human rights and the freedom of speech. At the moment of the revolution, we catch our dreams. We catch our dreams that we have a new community with new values that really respect a lot of fundamentals that we asked for a long time. But that dream doesn't stand alone. And here I remember an important quote, that making a half revolution like digging your grave, and that's what happened. That's what happened in the Arabic Spring, when we only have the right to do everything only for 2 years, but it comes with a backlash. This backlash was really strong. It builds a walls that was much and much longer and heavier than those that were there existing before. Some people like me, even with those high walls, tried to do their best for the society and for the community to break those walls. But there is circumstances for that. It doesn't go like that in an easy way. And the hard way is that we reach the last phase of the barriers, the imprisonment. As everyone knows, I stayed in the prison for 2 years. It wasn't easy. And it was a different form of barriers that I didn't imagine before that I will pass by. The first one is the physical one, is the relation with the outside, and the second one is the psychological. The first one, that I find myself in one day inside a small cell, big walls, big door, and it's well known about me that I'm very sociable. I hate to stand. I hate to not be in communication with people, running always. So in one day, I'm alone, a small cell. There is no way for communication. The only way that I was trying to do is to go to the window with a very small like circles that I can talk to others who are passing in front of my cell. That was my only way to communicate at this moment. That was a try from me to overcome the barrier of being in a solitary, to lose the connection with the world. It wasn't easy, but I tried to do it. The other one, and the hardest one, the most brutal one for me, was the psychological one. And I think, like, till now, I don't know if I win in this battle, or I broke this barrier, or I didn't succeed in breaking this barrier, but I feel I'm here, so I broke it. It was the psychological barrier of depression and anxiety. It was like a spider whipped something over my mind. I stopped feeling how to remember. I lose my memory sometimes. I lose the power of imagination. I lose how the colors looks alike. I tried to overcome this a lot of times. I tried to overcome this by reading the books, to remember throughout the books the description of the streets, how they look, to remember in the books how the colors looks alike. I tried to do my best to overcome this form of barrier. The psychological barrier wasn't easy, but I tried every moment to overcome this form of barrier. And then I will think about something very important, and I think it will intersect with everyone here, which is concluding the barriers. I arrived to Italy. I was super lucky with the kind of support, generosity, smiles, everyone supporting me, welcoming me with love. But that make me think about others, how the others feels, how the refugees who arrive feels, because they didn't deal with them in the same way. I tried to put myself in their shoe, how they feel while moving in the streets, always feeling with the barrier of fear, how they go to the work and they are still feeling with the barrier that they should be, or they could be fired only because they are refugees. How they feel toward the society. They are coming to a new society that sometimes welcome them, but sometimes it's rejecting them. How they feel. I was super lucky to be welcomed, to be a part of the community, but there's others who also deserve to be treated as how I was treated. I always think about them. I always think that we should work together to make our community more inclusive, to have everyone inside this community, and to welcome everyone in the proper way. Finally, I want to ask a question that we can think about it. How we would feel if we were pushed to leave our houses one day, going out because of conflict, because of war, because of whatever could happen, and that we was obligated to go to a new place, to adapt with our barriers that we grow up with, but also with the barriers of the new community that we arrive to. How we will deal with that? How many barriers that we can feel when we are going there? I hope that everyone here could work more and more to welcome all the refugees, everyone who see or face barriers, and welcome them to have more inclusive community and more welcoming community for anyone that could make his life easier and much welcomed